everybody. I'm Bobb Bruno. I play in the band Best Coast and do solo music stuff and play with random people in LA, I guess. And I'm just here to talk about some pedals, things that I use a lot that I don't see get talked about too much in videos. Usually they're focused on just one pedal, and I'm just going to talk about some combos and also emulating old effects that I use, but you know, sometimes you have gear that's kind of fragile and you don't want to take it out of the house. So there'll be some discussion of like how to emulate some of those things. First here is the Keeley Bubbletron. So I really love the Digitech space station, but it doesn't leave the house anymore because that thing is not built well, and it's broken a couple times. And there's my two favorite effects on there are the sample and hold, which when that came out in the 90s, there weren't really any effects pedals outside of the old Oberheim thing that really, and the Maestro that kind of did that stuff. So that was a big deal to get that, and I've used it on a ton of records. And so the Bubbletron is kind of the closest. It's not, nothing is ever going to be exact, but so yeah, it's just a nice. Usually I just like doing a one note, just kind of let it play out. And this pedal also has a phase. And so the next thing here, I don't know why more people don't talk about it, because it's such a great tool for layering pedals. It's Electro-Harmonix parallel mixer. And the great thing is, so you have 3 sends here. And I have the Enzo guitar synthesizer pedal by Maris in one send. Then I have Electro-Harmonix Mel 9, the Mellotron pedal, chained with this Maleko Sneak Attack, which does attack decay, because I love using the vocal setting in here and then adding some attack decay to kind of give it like a modulated, very quick, sharp modulation. And then third is the Source Audio Ultra Wave. And there's another great one. You can store like 6 presets in it. So first we have the synth. And so, you know, the biggest benefit of this is like if you were to chain all these pedals, they're all affecting each other and you get pitch like kind of wonkiness and stuff. And with this pedal, you can have them all separate, but going to one output, and you can blend them, you can EQ them, and you know, tweak them. There's a phase switch also. So we have the synth. Then we're gonna add the flute, or the vocal on the Mel 9. And then with the modulation. So the other great thing is I can, you know, instead of having to tap dance, just hit that and they're both on. And then we're going to throw in the Ultra Wave, which is right now set at this kind of synthy, like arpeggiating thing, which is really pretty. So let's hear that on its own. And right now I have some of the guitar signal blended in, but the other thing is there's a dry volume, so you can take that totally out and just have pure affected tone, which is great if a pedal doesn't have a blend sometimes, or there's some actual guitar sneaking through. So then we can have all 3. One of my longtime favorites, and they don't make it anymore, is the Boss pitch shifter delay. And there's another 90s pedal. And you know, when you start to hear electronic music that was glitchy, and you know, a lot of that was being done with computers or just rack effects and stuff. So this was the first thing I got, and it's not even a real function of it. It's just something I kind of stumbled upon. And for a long time, this was the only way to do this kind of stuff. So I'll just do a quick example. So you're on the delay setting, and feedback is pretty high. It's all effect, no dry. So you have that. Then by twisting the delay knob, you get these glitched out. And you can punch holes in the audio too by doing dramatic kind of sweeps and messing with the feedback. And we come now to the red particle, the red panda particle, sorry. And this is kind of, if I want something similar to this now, I'll take this out usually. I'm using the random function, so. Then if you do the two together, that's even better. And next is this other great Red Panda pedal, the Tensor. And this is another thing. So basically with the Digitech Space Station, there's a delay kind of backwards effect that when you're using the foot control, you get kind of like putting your hand on a record and playing it backwards in the cue or going forward. And this gets really close, and it has the added bonus of the random feature, so you can inject random pitch modulation stuff. So I'll just do kind of what the Space Station did. Turn the delay off. And you could hook an expression pedal up to this and do the same thing you could do at the Space Station, which is controlling the direction of the effect. So we have a little forward, slow it down, and then drag it backwards. It's reverse, and add some random in there, which I love. So now you're getting these artifacts. Some delay. And this does a lot of other stuff. You can use it as a looper, as doing pitch shifting, all kinds of cool stuff. So another great multifunction pedal. A lot of these are that. I think that's why I gravitate towards them. Another preset in this Ultra Wave that I like, which is when you hear it on its own, it's kind of weird and like almost seems kind of like pointless, but to me it's really cool. So what it is there's a distortion going, but it comes in and out. So the reason I like that is it's kind of like you're playing with someone else, but they're not necessarily playing, you know, they're playing the same notes, but they kind of drift in and out. So it's just a unique effect. So here's just dry guitar, and then you bring it in. Then you stack it with like the synth, say, and kind of have distorted guitar, dry guitar, and synth going, distorted going in and out. So next up is this Alesis Ampliton. And so there is this whole series Alesis did called the ModFX. And it was kind of like when gear was being made like to get DJs into like using effects and stuff. So that's why it's not kind of like the stomp box format. And the whole series is great. But this one doesn't get talked about that much, and it has one of my favorite functions, which is panning that can be random. So I'm sure you can do that in a computer nowadays, you know, with a plugin. But when this came out, this was like kind of one of the only things that did it, and I still use it a lot. Like I've taken drum mixes and run the kick and snare through it, so they're just going around in the mix. And it's great for synths or guitar, anything you just kind of want to do some weird stuff with. And it also has a tremolo section, so you can add tremolo before you're doing the panning. And there's sync functions and a lot of different stuff. There's multiple waveforms for the panning section and for the tremolo. So I'm just going to do a little thing on the OP1. There's a rate to adjust the panning. And you can make it go really fast. And you get some modulation. A little choppiness. Then you can engage the tremolo. So next up is this Acid Fuzz Sonic Boom pedal. I use this a lot too. It's based off of the old Vox guitars that had the effects built into the guitar. So there's a booster, distortion, or technically a fuzz. And then this repeater, which is kind of like a sharper sort of tremolo effect. And that's my favorite thing about this is the repeater, which is really choppy. Has the Vox style one, that's that. You can get it really fast. So obviously, if you want some Spaceman 3 kind of stuff, this is a great pedal for that. I don't think they make these anymore, but for this effect, Earthquaker makes a great pedal. Was it the Hummingbird, I think? That does this exact effect really well. And then got some fuzz here. So that brings us to the Reverberation Machine by Death by Audio. This is another pedal that I feel does not get talked about enough. It's a reverb, but it's a little more than that. Like the best way I can describe it is like, it just kind of sounds like old records. And the first Best Coast record had a ton of different reverbs on it. And we did a 10-year anniversary thing, and I kind of had to recreate those sounds. And honestly, this with the overdrive pedal was pretty much it. Even though this didn't exist when we did that record, it pretty much nails it. So it's not quite a spring, it's not quite a plate. To me, it's kind of somewhere in between those things. And there's a bright and a dark mode. And as you turn it up, you get some drives it a little bit. Especially when you crank the verb even more. Dark mode. So yeah, you besides guitar, just anything you want to kind of have that old like vintage, you know, 50s, 60s kind of vibe. It's great for it, and it's all in one pedal. You don't have to chain a bunch of stuff together. I've used it on bass, I've used it on keyboards. Just a really handy pedal if you're into whatever lo-fi vintage kind of stuff. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Sorry about all the spiking.